Yo, what's up, legends? Welcome back to another video on the channel. Yes, it is Walkthrough Thursdays. I'm a little bit sick, if you can't already tell. Really wasn't feeling up to do it yesterday, but please accept my apology. We are back on a Thursday. Thursdays are better anyway. Close to the weekend. We're going to go through my not brand new song, Back to the Future. It was a couple months ago now, or a month ago. One of my favorite tracks. This was built purely for clubs and festivals. Like, it really bangs. What we're going to do is jump straight into drop 2 because Spire literally hates me, and the Spire lead in drop 2 will just cut out and it just disappears. The amount of times I had to open the project constantly just to like start mixing it again. I did just release a new track today. It is a remix of Calvin Harris and Ellie Goulding, and it sounds a little bit like this. So please go and download that, share it, show your grandma, show your dog, whatever. Your support is appreciated. Let's get the big man to hear it. Basically, I had a lot of writer's block, and when I heard this song by Calvin and Ellie, like, I was just instantly inspired. Like, I knew I wanted to make a version for my sets. So yeah, go and check that out. Let's jump into this one. The first drop is just pure power, in case you haven't heard it. Has a really nice bounce to it as well. Drop 2 is this. So what we're going to do before this completely blows up is just take a look at the lead itself. Now, this is a super simple melody. It was kind of trance inspired. I wanted trance, techno, hard techno all in one song. And I think I managed to do that. It's called Pinball. Sorry, I don't know where it's from. But the lead itself is really thick. It's super distorted though. I would never distort a lead this heavily. But if we look at the processing, this is what it was before. So I've kind of kept the vibe, but just made it a lot more heavy. We will go into the processing as well. I guess we can do that now. We can check the processing. I do believe they're both processed the exact same way though. 41, yeah. So both drop leads are processed the same way. So we'll just go into the processing of the first drop lead, because I don't trust this guy to not just crash my shit. So this is the first drop's melody. So we started with this old school screech. Now I wanted to have this drop with only this screech, right? If I can turn off the other layer, this is what I did have. And it was alright. It fit the theme of what I wanted to do, like a super old school, like early hardstyle inspired drop. But it just didn't have that power, right? So I had to add this second layer. Super ravey. And honestly, this gave the screechy sound exactly what I needed, like a big transient, a big click to it. So that is it in terms of the lead itself. We need to check the processing though. I mean, come on. Why change something that ain't broke? Camel Crusher, Blood Overdrive, a normal amount of overdrive there. Isotope Trash is gold. Used a little bit of the saturation in there. I like the saturation in Isotope Trash. It just feels cleaner. EQ number 1, you know we're going to see a lot of these. Decapitate is really good on this. Takes it from an EDM track to like an old hardstyle processing, like a little bit less focused on high frequencies and more just like about the mid power and the fullness. We've gone fancy with the deep blue glitch here. Let's see what's happening. So with this, literally, I knew this melody was so simple. It's just so simple. I felt like I needed a little bit of a spruce up, right? So what I decided to do was go for the delay, use the reverser there, so it's going to reverse kind of the reverb signal. And then we've got this retrigger. The retrigger's sick. It gives it like a really nice, like a machine gun. That sounded really cool, and it just gave it some life. You can do so much cool stuff in there. You can even hit randomize both, and you can randomize the actual effect and also how long it's going to do it for. That's really cool. You can come up with some really, really fresh stuff. We've got another isotope trash. This time I went for the clip control. Something I haven't really been using, but when you go for a hard track like this, it really does help. Transient master, of course, to get the most out of that click and the transient. Another EQ. I mean, that's borderline pathetic, to be honest. I don't know if that's actually doing anything, but at the time I was like Einstein, like, oh, yeah, I've just cut all the frequencies I need. Bigifier, big fan of this one. Pardon the pun. It just it bigs everything up. I love it. Way more louder. It's really good. It just really expands the sounds, a bit like Oxford Inflator, but a little bit more dirty. Then we have the bus channel. Sorry, it's not named. We've got the Arts Acoustic with the peak controller. You know this by now. It allows the reverb to fill the gap that the melody isn't filling, basically. When there's no more notes playing, we fill it with reverb. Another small fancy EQ there. H delay, just to give it a little bit more wideness, a little bit more fanciness, I guess, to the leads itself. Oxford Inflator as well, so I've really pushed this sound crazy amounts. Let's see the difference, actually. So yeah, that makes a big difference, all those plugins. And then we've finally just had a little sprinkle on top with the delicate harmonics, just doing exactly what it says on the tin, with the saturation and a sidechain as well. So I was lazy. The drop 2 leads should have been maybe processed a little bit different, but I used the exact same processing, and it felt powerful enough. I could probably refine it, make it a little bit less dirty mix wise. But it works, man. It really works on big speakers. And yeah, I really love this one. Kick-wise, so this one isn't used. Let's see our main kick drum. Our main kick drum comes from, I believe, it comes from Nexus. Let's see if it's this one. No. So the main kick drum actually comes from Nexus sequencer. It is called the Acid #1. Nice top, good sub. It has a nice little reverb on it as well. Gives it just that wider, techier feel. We've also got a rolling bass line from Nexus. Which is called... Oh no, it's from Avenger actually. Techno style sequencer from Avenger. So these work well together. But on like this, it just wasn't anything fresh, right? There was no fresh elements to this. It was just a cool hard drop. That ain't gonna get anyone like talking about it. But what did was these old school jump style, old kind of early hard dance sounds. And honestly, this is just crazy. Such a beautiful sound, and the way it was mixed, it just fit perfectly. EQ wise, we're focusing on the mids, cutting the lows, of course. We don't want this to clash with our sub, and the high chain, so we don't want to get rid of all of we don't want it to be like an offbeat. It could sound cool as an offbeat, but I wanted it to just be like boom boom, like super hardcore, and it just sounds so good together. This is one of the ones that didn't make the cut. We've got other layers. This one also... Oh, this one did make the cut. Yeah, so this one had a little bit more stereo appeal to it. Not the cleanest sample, but because the other one was so clean, it kind of fit. And it's just in the sides of the mix. Then the infamous top kick as well. And altogether, it just makes like a huge kick drum. And I really love how it turned out. So in drop 2, because I knew that this was a little bit niche. Not many people like to go this hard, especially my fan base. So I thought in drop 2 I've got to have a little bit more big room techno aspect to it. So that's why I went for a rolling psytrance bass line. Kick drum's the same. The only difference is we have a side bass, which is beautiful. It really fit with the other layer as well. We've got some white noise there, which we can just turn off. That's just to make the impact of this change in the drop even bigger. Usually in a track, you bring hi-hats, claps in the second part of the drop to make that change, increase the energy. This, I just wanted it to be like catch everyone off guard, big drop. So I wanted to get rid of all the drums. Now, to make it hit harder than the first part, I had to have that white noise. Get as much energy as possible. And yeah, it's pretty much the same. The only difference is that rolling bass line, the side trance bass line, sorry, and also this one, which is an Avenger patch called Neuron. So to process this one, it was hard, you know, to make that fit with this and the lead. The reason it worked is because the lead had less high end. So usually your lead has a lot of highs, crispy highs, whereas this one was because it was an old school theme, it was a little bit less focused on the highs, so I could have an extra layer actually provide more high end, and that's why it all fit together. Got a top kick in there as well. Not this one though. Super old school sound. Love that one, the way it sounds in there, and it's just so much power again. Drum wise, not too much going on in terms of the drums. Super old school vibe. Everything has to fit that theme, right? My theme is old school, like really, really old hard dance, but with like updated production, and I think every sound that I picked was fit in that mold. We have a screech, hardstyle screech. The one I used in the Age of Rave, so it's nice to have that like link between the two songs. Not really a follow-up, but it has that kind of vibe as well. Clap fills with a little bit of reverb to just so it doesn't just stop dead. It just carries it on, makes it smooth. We have reverses of the lead itself, which is a nice thing. I always tell my clients, my students, to always use these reverses because it just adds that little bit extra production. See how it kind of sweeps in? It just makes everything smoother in terms of transition. So that is drop 1. We can take a look at drop 2, because I know if you guys only come here for the drops, no one cares about anything else. Drop 2, we already saw the lead, so we're going to mute the lead because I don't trust it. What other elements do we have? It's just the kick and bass from the second part of drop 1. Little bit of an increase in drums there, some extra layers and stuff, a ride loop which is pretty big. So I actually bounced out the lead so that I could create a more smooth delay. So I have you can see the gap there. Instead of making the delay in the plugin, I just bounced it out as a WAV. And kind of made my own delay with this because I didn't trust the lead. 2, I had a bit more control. We've got this sound, big boom sound, techno. You know, trying to keep in that techno vibe. Drum fill, beautiful drum fill. Really like got the energy increased there. Really, it just does something. I really like that. And then everything is pretty much the same. I do hear these little sounds, which I love. All this little ear candy stuff makes such a difference in your track. Like when you hear it here. See how it just adds a little bit more depth. You know, most new producers will just use kick, bass, leads. That's it. But when you do get more advanced, all these little things make such a difference as a whole. Like when you add 4 or 5 things together, it just makes the production sound so rich and not poor. So that is both the drops, really high energy. Breakdown, I needed some kind of gimmick, right? So my breakdown was really start with this techno bass line, this techno trancey bass line.
We're taking you back.
So this is like you're at a festival, the guy plays this song and like, okay, now we're gonna go back to like the old school sounds. So I've got like atmosphere in here, very ravey. We've got ambience. I love this kind of sound. It makes it sound like so analogy and old school. We also have this ravey, old school ravey fill, which just sounds great. Got the crowd noise in there as well, because as I said, my idea was to be like we're in the festival and the DJ plays this old song and we go back to the future style. And yeah, then we go into this techno trancey section. FL's gonna cry. No, it's good. So it's just a synth that you saw before. Got this old school vocal, and then the other important thing is this breakbeat loop. Love this so much, old school as possible, but it just wasn't that great. It wasn't like nowadays production, so I had to add some layers and a kick as well, and together it just worked. If you're doing a theme of an old school track, you need to get as much of that flavour in as possible. Then we have the build up, which is pretty standard. Got build snares here. Just the usual EQ, you know, you cut the low frequencies from the snare, you cut the highs, and you kind of do automations like this so the snare can just disappear smoothly and slowly. And then we've got the vocal as well. If you're Patreon and you downloaded last month's sample pack, you have all of these sounds. Really, really, really good stuff. The vocal here.
We're taking you higher. We're shaking the ground. The club is jumping with an old school sound. We're taking you higher. We're taking you higher. We're taking you higher. We're taking you higher. We're taking you back.
So he did actually say Back to the Future, but it sounded a little bit cringe. I got this vocalist that wrote some simple lyrics, just like the age of rave. I had an idea of a theme and I just told the guy to do it. It said Back to the Future. It was a little bit cringe.
Taking you back. Back to the future.
It was a little bit too cringe for me, so I like that we're taking you back. It's a little bit more cool, I would say. And that is it for the first breakdown. Second breakdown is where I really just wanted to let loose, let my hair down. Trance is such an important genre for me. I love trance, everything about it, and I just wanted this breakdown to be as melodic as possible and really catch people in the feels. Big hard style influence there though. So in this section, it's just all about airiness and just we need to have just such openness here, and then we just gradually increase the energy and increase the frequency of the melody as well. so lead wise, we have the first sound,